Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the 5th Annual Aquatic Life Conference. This is our largest conference to date. We have 807 registrants from around the world, which just blows our previous high number out of the water, 620 from last year. I'm Sophika Kostyniuk, Managing Director at Aquatic Life Institute, and I'm joining you today from the traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations, known as present-day Vancouver. Now, the past 9 months have produced some incredible results and advances for aquatic animals. Many of you have absolutely been a part of these successes. And I just want to call out a few of the key achievements, but there are so many more to celebrate. March of this year, Washington State in the US passed the first of its kind bill to preemptively ban octopus farming. This sparked a cascade of similar initiatives in various other jurisdictions. And in fact, August of this year, maybe some of you saw this, a bipartisan federal bill was introduced to do the same thing, to ban octopus farming in all of the US. This is a significant achievement. Corporations are putting out major policies on this issue. In April, we had a significant global supplier, Blue U, putting out a comprehensive policy on both farmed and wild species. In August, Tesco, one of the largest global retailers, and Hilton Foods, which is another significant global supplier, also launched decapod crustacean welfare policies on shrimp that they were procuring. Just last week, the Aquatic Animal Alliance reached 150 members from nearly 75 countries. This is an amazing milestone. We have collective action through this alliance, and that collective action creates positive change that can far more rapidly improve the lives of aquatic animals in the food system. Very soon, we'll be rolling out at Aquatic Life Institute the 3rd annual seafood certification benchmark, and we are now benchmarking 9 of the world's largest aquaculture certifiers. We're seeing year-over-year improvements, and that trickles both up and down the supply chain. So as I mentioned, there are so many more successes to celebrate, and please let us know if you are also making gains in your jurisdictions on aquatic animal welfare improvements. Now, throughout the next 2 days, you'll be hearing from leaders in various sectors, speaking to the 4 R's of seafood system reform. These 4 R's have formed the themes of our sessions. The first one being reduce, so reducing the number of overall animals in the seafood system. Another R, refine, refining the conditions in which they are kept or captured. Then replacing aquatic animals with alternative proteins and other alternatives. Finally, refusing the introduction of new species into the seafood system. Before we move on, I just wanted to give a huge and very, very well-deserved thanks to the Aquatic Life Institute team. We have pulled this off once again from the side of our desks. The team has been working intensely to ensure that we offer an incredible lineup of speakers and delivering thought-provoking and informative discussions. So thank you again, everyone, for choosing to join us for the 5th Annual Aquatic Life Conference, and we hope that you have a really fantastic experience. Right before I introduce our extraordinary keynote speaker, I just wanted to run through a very few quick housekeeping reminders. So the audience is muted upon entry and your cameras are off. If you have any questions, please post them to the Q&A box. We will answer them as well as we can at the end of each session. Each session is being recorded and it will be made available after the conference. Now, we expect respectful and productive discussions and do have a zero tolerance policy for harassment and discrimination of any kind. Now, For what many of you have been waiting for, we're going to move into our keynote address. This is around a 25 to 30-minute session. We're going to hear from our distinguished expert and then have a few minutes at the end of the session for a brief Q&A. So it is my deep pleasure to introduce Dr. Daniel Pauly. From the sea around us, principal, investigator, and Killam professor at the University of British Columbia's Institute for the Oceans and Fisheries. The concepts, methods, and software that Daniel Pauly co-developed and documented in over 1,000 scientific and general interest publications are used throughout the world, including the EcoPath modeling approach and software, and FishBase, an online encyclopedia of more than 30,000 fish species. If you have not spent any time in the FishBase, on the FishBase website, please go there. It is unbelievable what you can learn about fish and other aquatic species. Dr. Pauly has taught a multitude of courses, supervised students in 4 languages on 5 continents. I have directly benefited from his tutelage. Several of my former staff members at a prior organization actually studied under Dr. Pauly. So his influence is far, far-reaching. He's been recognized with numerous prestigious awards, including the Tyler Prize for Environmental Achievement in 2023, and been named one of France's Chevalier de Légion d'honneur. Dr. Pauly, please take it away.
Thank you. I am asked to turn on the camera. I thought it was on. I don't know what it is that is, you can't see me, and perhaps you will not, but you will certainly hear me. I can see that you can hear me, and we will go without seeing me. But I'm 78-year-old man, so you don't really need to see me. What you need to see me is my presentation, which is here. And the key point about my presentation is that I will present only two little aspects of the issue of that you are concerned with. That is what we have to do as scientists, as fisheries scientists, to be able to enter in a dialogue about it. And the second is some issues that concern the relationship between the West and perhaps what we might wish to call the global South. You hear me well, right? No problem. Okay, so basically we need to change the attitude that we have to deal with animals, marine animals or aquatic animals as tons of fish, and then perhaps we, in the process, also change one's mind. Then you all know better, because I'm new at this, what animal welfare is, and there are multiple ways you can define it, from the way the animal interacts with this environment, the way it feels, the way it can live its life, and these various ways don't exclude each other. We have to consider all of them, and you do. Now I'm in the main point that I want to make. When you try to get an idea of what the damage we do through our consumption, our catching or farming of fish, and large invertebrates such as lobsters and squids and so on, we use the FAO data. The FAO is the Food and Agriculture of Organization of the United Nations, FAO, in Rome, receives annually figures in tons of the number of fish that are caught, not necessarily split by species, and receives annually such things from the member countries, all of them. There are only 2, 3 exceptions that don't send data, and the FAO tries to infer this. But the values they get are underestimated. They figure in the literature as the catch of the world, and it is about 90 million tons per year that is caught, plus a certain amount that is farmed. Of this, about 10 million are caught in freshwater, the rest are caught in marine water. And then there is the farming, and these figures you can see that is the FAO data. But this FAO data do not include lots of things. They don't include the recreational fishing. For example, only FAO submit recreational fishing. The US, South Africa, Canada, and so on, Australia do not include the fish that are caught for fun and killed. Also, the discarded fish, and that is a huge quantity, is not included. And it is explicitly not included in FAO. So it's not correct to call it the catch, it's only the landings. So the landed catch is what we see. There is a catch that is fished, but the fish are killed, but they don't ever come to the surface because they are killed by ghost fishing. There is fish that are caught in illegal catches that are not reported. There is bycatch, fish that are killed but are not targeted. They can be landed or they are discarded, and so on. That is a huge quantity, which is also not reported. It's only the landed catch that FAO reports. So we have developed a technique which is called reconstruction, which permits a better appreciation of what is caught. And basically, we use the FAO data. Like in a puzzle, all of us know the trick. We start with building the periphery, and then we fill in the blanks. And this in a massive project that involved 400 people in 200 countries and territories, we generated a correction for the world catch of marine fish, and again it includes large invertebrates that is on our website, and it is available for each country. You can see it, the difference between the total catch and the reported catch. And for the world as a whole, we find that about 50% more is caught than is reported. And it's mainly recreational catch and the catch of small-scale fisheries plus illegal catches and discards. So that is available for all the world. And we have begun to work on fisheries, on inland fisheries, and the freshwater fisheries. So we have begun with Canada because we're in Canada, and it looks like Canada should be able to, even though it's big and it has lots of lakes and lots of water, it should be able to report on its catch to FAO. It's a member, and the freshwater is supposed to be reported, but they don't. The only thing that is reported is the commercial fishery, what is called commercial fishery. But they don't report on indigenous catches, and they don't report on recreational catches. And you can see each of the province and territories here, that's the work that has completed, that indigenous and recreational fisheries make a huge fraction or the bulk of the tonnage and also the numbers, because for the first time we give for each province or territories two charts. One is tonnage and the other is numbers. And I know that you can't look the scale because it's too small, but believe me, these are large numbers. And we can see it here, where the catch is in number of fish killed above and in ton below. And you can see the big difference due to the fact that in this case, the commercial fisheries catch smaller fish than the recreational fishery. You can see that the recreational fishery is very large, and these are fish that are killed for fun. And this, I'm a late entrant in a in a in a in a in a in a group of people that you belong to that think that the welfare of the animals caught are important, and the gate for entry, my gate of entry, is the fact that there are people who think it's fun to kill fish, to catch and kill fish. These figures, by the way, take account of the so-called catch and release, because this always involves a certain rate of mortality, even when they release, supposedly. And what is counted is only the one that are dead, that are released and don't make it. So what we have for Canada as a whole is freshwater catches being not as important as marine catches, and that is the case for all countries that have both inland and marine fisheries. And basically, we will in the next years, the sea rounders include numbers, all freshwater will include freshwater and numbers, and then gradually we will go into estimating numbers for the marine world. And these numbers are all frightening. It quickly grows into the trillions of fish, and the question is obviously the ethics of all this. And so all this consideration put together is that the number of fish killed per year worldwide is between 1 and 4 trillion individuals, and not half of that. In other words, it's double the numbers that FAO gives. But they don't mean much because we cannot. They don't mean much in gut feeling, because we cannot really figure big numbers in our head, and we will make them more precise as we go on. But the question is what it all means, and being in this business only a short while, I have only two real challenges. I was trained as a fishery scientist in Germany, and fish were obviously only a commodity that you deal with tons. And because they're a commodity, you deal with stocks and not with population, and certainly not individuals. Yet Germany was one of the first countries to have legislation. In Europe, it's widespread also, that attempted to minimize the pain and suffering of fish. And this opened a big discussion in whether the fish can feel pain, which is, to me, nonsense as a biologist, because they have nociceptors. Fish can feel pain, or rather, they have the anatomical device that you need to feel pain. They are people, they are scientists who write that the brain doesn't translate, is not sophisticated enough to translate the message of nociceptors into pain. But this is completely absurd, because in evolution you don't have You don't involve an organ that you don't need. That is complete nonsense. And the people who write these things, you at the end of the paper, you will always find, or you will usually find, if they are honest, that they are paid by the fishing industry to spread this nonsense. So that actually we don't need to bother with, and in fact, it is now a vibrant vibrant area of research about how fish and other organisms perceive the world, which must include pain, because it is what protects you against minor accident, even. So the problem, though, is that there are 9 billion of us on Earth, and we will soon reach 10 billion before our numbers decline. Hopefully, they will decline only because of the transition toward fewer children, but it is possible that our numbers will decline because the global warming will induce the collapse of the food system in many countries. I mean, just rice, for example, is in Southeast Asia and in Asia generally at the limit of its heat tolerance. And if you have a little bit of more heat, you have rice collapse, and collapse of rice production is horrible. No, we should include less meat in our diet, and yes, vegetarianism, veganism are reasonable option when they can provide, when there are all nutrients available in a balanced diet and you can afford it. The problem is that there are part of the world, for example, in Africa, where the population grows like crazy because demographic transition has yet to take place, where it's mainly fish that, when available, that complement the diet consisting mainly of starch. I have read recently a paper showing that of all continents, and the African continent is the most unbalanced in sub-Saharan Africa, and basically consists mainly of starch, nothing else, and macronutrients in deep trouble. In such contexts, suggesting that fish should not be eaten is mocking at people, and I have problems with people who argue that fish should not be eaten, and I think that advocating that in the global South is a dangerous, unrealistic, and neocolonialistic. So we shouldn't do that. We should reduce the damage that we do in our world, because our food production system need to be humanized, and we should leave alone the global South because we have messed their food system enough through colonialism and through messing up the culture and the interaction with animals, which actually tend to be more respectful than in industrial production system. So besides changing the way we report catch, which should be complete and which should have animals, we should count animals and not and lives rather than just tonnage. We should change our minds about the way we interact with animals, and that's mainly in the West that we have to do that. And as people of my generation, we have to be wrong, because this is for us still a new thing. That's all. But I can now respond to queries, but I would like to acknowledge the support for the Center for Animal Protection of New York University, and Jennifer Jacket, who was one of my students, she was one of those who synthesized me to these welfare issues. And I'm sorry that I don't address the nitty-gritty of the issues because I'm not really in it, but I do provide data to people who are interested, and we will increasingly provide data that can be used in argument, notably fish catch by in numbers of lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pauly. We have so much that we can learn from you, of course, and your depth of knowledge is absolutely impressive. I really want to thank you for acknowledging that you are quite new to this conversation. I think there's never a time that's too late for anyone to come to these realizations that aquatic animals are sentient, that they deserve to be treated far better and regarded far better than they have been in the past, and that our actions, when we don't begin thinking about sentience and about these animals as individuals rather than tons, pallets, stocks, is just it's really mind-boggling the negative impact that we can have and the cascading effects that come from that those types of actions. And taking this speciesism approach is very dangerous. So what I really appreciated, some of the data that you shared with us, and I'd love to dig into that a little further, perhaps not on this call, but later, is the reconstructed catch statistics. Those are staggering. And I wonder if those could be the start of many additional conversations. But we just have a few minutes for questions. So again, to the audience, please type your questions into the Q&A and we will try to address them before the end of this session. One of the questions that's come to us is, what is the biggest roadblock, in your opinion, in getting more fisheries scientists to start viewing fisheries as individual animals? Because these scientists, of course, help inform the governing bodies that determine how we interact with aquatic animals, so aquaculture and fisheries. Do you have a sense of the roadblocks?
The major roadblock, I think, is that the fish are not mammals. I work personally, besides the fisheries, the catch stuff that I do. I work on physiology, respiratory, on how fish interact with oxygen and water, and basically, I can see that we lots of projection that we have about what it means to respire, to like a fish, to respire water. They are misunderstood because we are mammals, and we can see mammals and recognize us in them, in a baby bear or in cats and dogs. They have expression that we can deal with. The fish don't. Fish do not. They are alien to us, and so the idea that fish can sentient being that do things, that choose things, that can manipulate objects, some of them do, can decide on things, is profoundly alien. And I think it's one is lack of knowledge, because these discoveries are relatively recent. So people who have been trained in the last decade, that is not incorporated in the curriculum. There are lots of issues, global warming and stuff, where the public has been informed for years. But the issue of sentience in animals, such as fish, and even that they feel pain, that is too new. That is, or not too new, but that's new to many people. And also the fact that the practice we have developed, the fishing industry is not perceived as the killing machine that it is. You can hear lots of people will talk about marine protected area, where the only thing that is protected against is, for example, drilling for oil or ship passing by, but not against fishing, because fishing is not perceived as the killing machine that it is. This is the only fishing is the only way that we have to interact with the ocean that is meant to kill fish. The other interaction that we have, transport and recreation and laying underground cable and stuff, all this interaction, which can be damaging to life, are not meant to damage life. But fishing is meant to kill fish. And even that realization is not in the heads of people. That I think that we have a job to explain rather than assume that people realize this and therefore, if they're bad people because they don't act on it.
Thank you so much for that response. And again, I just want to underscore how important it is for us, as you just mentioned, Dr. Pauly, to say that people aren't necessarily bad people. They just don't realize what they're doing. So I think our job, certainly in the advocacy community, and then with new champions of this issue like yourself, is to start opening people's minds to this notion. And when those light bulbs go off, when people have those initial realizations, I think that it's incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to go back to the way that we used to think.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Here's another question from the audience. What can we do in European countries at a legislative as well as at a citizenry level where the consumption of aquatic animals is so linked with cultural traditions, but there's not a need to consume these animals anymore?
That is a thing that I ask myself about. I was at a conference recently in Spain, where organized by gastronomists, and they were dietitians that were complaining about Spaniards eating less fish than before. And they were complaining because they were saying that without fish in the diet, the brain doesn't develop. There is a whole school that argues that humans became modern humans, when they reached the coastline of Africa and started eating fish. It is all rubbish, but it is difficult to get to overcome this. And at that conference, we also had a lobbyist from the fishing industry that was spreading outright lies. So I think that protecting fish in Europe is going to be a big problem. Can you imagine in Europe that you can troll in most marine protected area? Trawling is the most indiscriminate form of fishing and killing. If you were to devise if you were asked modern engineer to develop the method that remove fish from the ocean and kill as many fish as possible, trawling would be invented. But trawling is old and it's perceived as a traditional and yet trawling is authorized and practiced in marine protected areas in Europe. So we have so much to do at this level, and also subsidized fishing. Fishing is subsidized enormously, and even when it's not profitable, it continues to be fished. And then the Marine Stewardship Council and other organizations that are supposed to protect the fish don't, because they have become complicit with lots of what the industry does. So there is so much to do in Europe, you don't even know where to start.
It's definitely going to be a challenge. But I think approaching it in these sort of bite-sized pieces, maybe more at a regional level, starting with champions, also parsing out industry from industry, from legislators, from activists. There are certainly some inroads, but also some big hurdles to overcome. Very sadly, we have come to the end of this session, and I know I'm really apologetic to the audience. I see that we have a number of other questions coming in. We will not be able to address them today, but please take a look at the resources.
Can write me if they want to have an answer. That I'm answer that email.
Oh, that is extremely generous. Thank you so much, Dr. Pauly. If you would like to include your email in the chat, that would be very helpful, and I'm sure that you will receive a flood of questions following this conference. So I wanted to thank you again for your generosity of giving us your time and sharing with us just the tiniest little bit of your expertise today. I'm sure that it was really interesting to our audience, as it was to myself. Again, this session has been recorded and will be made available following the conference. And thank you to our audience for your interest. The next panel, we're going to jump right into that, is titled Reduce, and that will start right now. Thank you so much again, Dr. Pauly. Have a wonderful rest of your day.